Organizations do not actually change. When a company announces a major shift in strategy, what really has to happen is that hundreds or thousands of individual people must decide to change their daily habits. Leaders frequently miss this distinction. They assume a perfectly executed software rollout guarantees a new, efficient way of working. Two distinct disciplines are often confused. On the left is project management, focusing on budget control, technical execution, and the go-live schedule. On the right is change management, with entirely different goals: mitigating employee resistance, ensuring user adoption, and actually realizing a return on investment. Consider the common paradox in healthcare. A hospital installs a pristine, multi-million-dollar electronic medical record system. It is technically flawless, but the senior physicians refuse to use it, finding workarounds instead. The system delivers zero real-world value. If the human beings involved maintain the status quo, any technical success is an illusion. Most executives recognize they need a framework to manage that human element. The difficulty lies in navigating a market completely saturated with competing theories. Inside the Association for Project Management's methods library, the sheer volume of methodologies is completely overwhelming. You have the ACMP standard, designed as a global baseline for multiple industries. Right below it, you find CHAMPS 2, a vision-led method built specifically to handle public sector service transformation. Organizations often pick a model based on what is currently trending in corporate circles, rather than examining whether the mechanics of that model actually fit their specific corporate culture. The problem is not a lack of available tools. The problem is knowing which tool matches your specific operational scenario. This chart clarifies your options. The vertical axis separates individual psychology at the top from macro alignment at the bottom. The horizontal axis measures the approach, rigid steps left versus iterative cycles right. The top left quadrant houses micro-models, individual-centric frameworks like ADCAR and Bridges. These frameworks treat organizational change as a deeply internal psychological process. They require individuals to let go of old identities before they can accept a new beginning. The logic is rooted in early clinical research on grief and trauma, particularly Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's work on how humans process dramatic life disruptions. The trade-off is scale. These models are highly empathetic and effective for small groups, but rolling them out across a 10,000-person enterprise requires massive coaching resources and heavy administrative oversight. You deploy a micro-model when your primary barrier is intense individual fear or local resistance. You just have to budget for the high cost of supporting it. If your priority is enterprise-wide strategic alignment, you have to look in the opposite direction. Down in the bottom left quadrant are the macro frameworks, best represented by Kotter's 8-step process. Kotter's mechanics do not start with empathy. The first step manufactures a sense of urgency, followed immediately by building a powerful guiding coalition. Executives tend to prefer this approach. It provides a clear, high-speed roadmap that works exceptionally well for executing massive structural events, like corporate mergers. The ultimate risk here is collateral damage. A rigid, top-down mandate often steamrolls valid frontline concerns. Once the initial corporate urgency fades, you are frequently left with severe employee burnout. Use a macro model for rapid structural alignment. Just know you will need to supplement it with targeted local support to prevent quiet sabotage from the ground floor later on. Some environments are too complex for either extreme. In highly regulated spaces like healthcare, a single model is rarely enough. Take the Saudi Ministry of Health. They recently faced a massive challenge, implementing a unified digital health information system across 24 separate hospitals. To manage this, consulting firm IQVIA built a hybrid architecture, layering the psychological ADCAR model into the sector-specific NHS change model. This human-centric approach deployed specialized change agents directly into hospital departments, bridging the communication gap between strategic leadership and clinical staff. By managing the structural rollout alongside individual psychology, they successfully convinced highly resistant senior physicians to adopt the new digital workflows. In high-stakes environments, relying on a simple, out-of-the-box model is a liability. A tailored hybrid approach is the only reliable way to mitigate catastrophic failure. This decision tree condenses these methodologies into an actionable choice based on two questions. First, is this change for a single department or the entire enterprise? Second, Is your primary barrier human resistance or structural alignment? If you are rolling out software to a specific department and anticipate heavy user pushback, apply ADKAR or the Bridges model to manage the transition. If you are executing a corporate merger or overhauling the enterprise structure, rely on Kotter's 8-step process to drive momentum. And if you are navigating a complex, highly regulated environment, you must invest the capital to build a hybrid framework. Technical success means nothing without human adoption. The right methodology isn't the one with the most popular name. It's the one that accurately accounts for the specific human cost of your transition.